Hello there, my name is Wokianaru, and welcome back for another round of Painter Simulator. So I guess this one we're... What? Oh, you know what? Ooh. Starry Night might be difficult, I just realized that, because there's a lot of coloring to Starry Night. I have... Oh, you know, okay, I was about to say, I have no triangles. Spray our brother some triangles, please. Yeah, I just realized there are a lot of colors in Starry Night. 31. Okay, 31 is what we're going to be dealing with. Oh my. I think they should make it easier though, because I remembered that there's all the like different swirling, you know, bits to it. The fact that I can't fly for these ones kind of bothers me. But then again, if Michelangelo could have like flown while he was painting the Louvre, I don't think he would have went on to paint. He probably would have been burned at the stake. Actually, he wouldn't have been. He would have been executed for some sort of reason. Or a lot of people would have started following him and he would have created a religion. One of the two. There's only those options. 94, so I'm almost done with the first one. I feel like my rocket launcher is not going to be a whole lot of use here. Come on. Oh, this one's gonna play to annoy me, isn't it? It's gonna take forever to do, and it's going to annoy the hell out of me. Oh, there we go. I was up last night until like 3 in the morning, playing and recording Project Castaway. Because I got so ingrained into the game. That's one of those games definitely that you play it and you're like, okay, I'm stuck here. This is my life now. See, I don't get the whole, for one, I don't play a lot of online games. Partially like the online shooter type stuff, like any of the Call of Duty online stuff, or whatever's hot at the moment. I know CSGO is always probably going to be up there. I've never been good at those. Never. Or your other games that are like battle royales. I'm terrible at battle royales. I'll always be terrible at battle royales. So I don't play them. Like, I would play, what is that one called? PUBG. I'd play PUBG for a while with, like, different people on occasion. But I'm just so freaking bad at them that it would be one of those things that I'd somehow manage to get into, like, the top. I'd either manage to get into the top or I'd be one of the first people out. That's how it would work. But I'd only manage to get into the top because I'd be, like, spend 95% of the match looting, trying to get better things, and being at, like, the very outside of the match and going, okay, this is where people won't be. Yeah, I'm terrible at those sorts of games. And then now we've got what? We've got Marvel Rivals, I think, is the newest one. It's the newest big game that's like that. I think it's just because they're one of those things of, when I think of certain things like that, Marvel Rivals is a little bit different, and some of the other ones are a little bit different, especially if they're ones that's like, okay, it's one of those, I main this person, you know, because they have the different abilities and whatnot. So, I mean, when I played TF2, that was exactly how it was. If you mained someone, you had a different play style for that person, because, like, the whole running and jumping and, like, flying around and crap never made the, like, a lick of sense to me. And I would play the game as if it was like, yes, we are actually, maybe that's what I just need to do. I just need to, like, play more, God, what is that game? Arma. Play more Arma. Because my mind immediately goes to, the whole thing of, this is simulated combat. It's really not, though. It's like, so thinking that's that way screws you over, because there's people running around and, like, jumping and parkour and whatnot and hitting those 360 no scopes and that crap. So that's why I've never been good at those games. Those combinations of things just never made sense to me. Oh my god, and the seeing pictures from the e-tournaments is hilarious. Seeing pictures or footage of, like, people from the e-tournaments is hilarious, because I know there are very specific rules for those, but then there's, like, people that I don't know how they play like this. Some of the, like, look up just, like, seating positions, and you'll see what I'm talking about. You've got some guys that have their monitors, like, bent down, and so they're, like, looking at it like this. You've got guys that are, like, crunched up in their chair, all sorts of weird ass ways. They've got their, like, mouse sitting at a weird angle, and I'm just like, can you not use a computer? How does this help you? I would like to know the logic and, like, the thinking behind that. The thinking behind, okay, I'm going to sit at this weird ass angle to play a video game, and it somehow helps me be a better player. Like, I'd like to interview some of the guys and gals from those things. It'd be like, okay, how does this sitting like this weird way and like show them pictures of like the way they're sitting and be like, how does this make you a better player sitting like this? Or like, oh my God, they've got really weird rules. Cause I know I saw one, a clip of cause with esports, I mean, they're like full on like other sports teams. They have like this is our uniform. This is what we wear. Everyone on the team wears this. And some of those guys do have like accessories, but then there's guys that'll get penalized for such accessories. Like, I recently started wearing, you know, beanies and whatnot a lot more, and I bought myself like another one because of how long my hair is. Because like this is the longest my hair has ever been. And with my headphones, if I put my headphones on and I move a certain way, I think I've explained this in the past, my hair gets caught up in it and it gets pinched. And so it hurts. So I wear the hat to stop from doing that. And honestly, literally, I recorded like 2 videos last night, I want to say, of Project Castaway, where, I mean, it worked and it was fairly comfortable, where I just had, I had a hoodie on and I had my, hood up and the headphones sitting over the, like, the hood, and it worked. It was fairly comfortable because I didn't know where my hat was because I took my hat off and lost it. But then I went out and was like, I need to buy a new beanie because I wear this one all the time, and I do wash it. I obviously do wash it, and but you know, I wear it so much, which is kind of funny because I was very much raised as a. You'll see it if you're ever with me, and it's a summer day or something like that, or you know, even a winter day. Most people will go inside, and if they have a hat on and whatnot, they'll leave it on, or they'll leave it on for a really long time. I don't do that. I immediately take off my hat when I walk inside. Immediately. Because that was just a rule that I don't know if it was necessarily, it was a pretty common rule in Scouts. Is just another thing for like helping, you know, young people develop more manners. And that rule was, you know, no hats inside. So if you walk inside of a building, you take your hat off. And so I know very specifically my troop, we very much, holy moly, had something caught in my throat, but we very much observed that rule of no hats inside. Because you go to like, say, scout camp or something like that, and you know, there are buildings, but you'd see people walk in and they'd like keep their hats on. And it actually grew on me to the point of it actually annoys me when I walk into buildings and see people wearing hats, unless it's like walking into, say, some form of like a fast food joint or something, or somewhere where you can see food workers actively handling food. So yes, I'd like them to wear hats because it's containing their hair. And that was actually a thing I remember at scout camp was because we had a kitchen staff, but our kitchen staff, they cooked the food, and then it was whatever day of the week, there was certain groups, certain areas, it was like, okay, it's your job to serve the food. So you go in and like there was 2 tables, and so there's basically 2 lines, so you'd get people through quicker. And they'd do that. They'd grab, like, you'd have to have a hat on to serve food. So sometimes it would be one of those things of either you borrow someone's hat if you don't have your hat with you, or because everyone from your area had to do that, or you'd have everyone from your area, but you work in such a small area. Basically, that's one of those, like, we don't have a lot of people. So who has a hat? Okay, come on inside. You're gonna serve, or you hand your hat off to someone that wants to serve. It was just interesting little rules that I've picked up through my life that just stay there, and they're going to stay there. And I guarantee if I ever have children or whatnot, those sorts of rules will get passed down to my kids. And there's this interesting thing that I actually picked up later on. Actually, it wasn't really later on, but it was one of those things that not many people did it. If you had a hat and you had to take it off, there was a couple things you could do with it. We didn't naturally. You didn't really set it on the table, because that's one of those things that it's just it's rude. You don't set your bag on the table or whatnot. It eats up room, and it's just an eyesore. So one of the things that we did, and I actually learned this from, I've explained it before in the past, that I went to a adult leadership training course called Wood Badge, and it wasn't necessarily I don't know how it came to be. Like, I would like to look into that and see how it came to be, but it was one of those things of, instead of, either setting your hat down maybe on the bench or putting it in your bag or something like that, you took the brim of your hat, because no one wore, like, flat brimmed hats or anything like that, snapbacks. You would take it and you would tuck it, because you're already wearing, if you're wearing a uniform, there's actually multiple uniforms. You have uniform A, uniform B, and there's like several other different stylings to it. Uniform A being you're wearing your full uniform, your nice button up dress, like shirt and pants and socks and all that other stuff. And uniform B is basically just uniform A without said top, but you're wearing some scouting top, like some scouting t-shirt or something like that. And so you already have, like, your shirts tucked in, because that's just a rule. That's another one of those rules. And so you'd tuck your shirt, your hat into the back of your pants, in between your shirt and your pants. So, basically just in front of your shirt, that you have already tucked in. So it's got a layer, so it's not like you're getting your shirt or your hat or anything dirty. But it's just one of those things. There's so many, because, I mean, you have to think about where scouting started, where it came from, and all those sorts of things. And those sorts of rules just got passed down and stayed with us for years. And they still do. I mean, a lot of troops will do that. Other random rules, I don't know how many, because like I said, there's some troops that did, like, use those rules, and there's some that don't. Like traveling, anytime you're traveling, basically, especially for us, it was if you were traveling to camp, you had to wear your uniform, your Class A uniform. That was very much a thing with most troops. When you were traveling to there, you wore your Class A, and you used that. You wore that, and then at some point you'd have to, like, change out of it. You wore your uniform to certain meals. You had to wear your Class A to evening flags, not morning flags. That was a rule for our staff. Always had to have your Class A uniform tucked in. Yeah, so there's just some things. There are things that if you like are with me, like if you're ever with me or you meet me out in like public and you see something that I do and you're very much like, that's strange. A lot of people don't do that. They're just from different things that I've done in my life that there are those little rules and manners and whatnot that have stuck with me over the years and will stick with me because I've done them for so long. I got into Scouts when I was whatever first grade is. I started Cub Scouts. I know, so whatever first grade is plus a year because I started school late because my birthday's in November, so I just naturally fell behind like that. It would naturally fall behind like that, but then there's just strange things. Lots of strange things. And sometimes I'll even like poke a person and tell them to do so, like take their hat off indoors or whatnot because it's rude. I'll do it to someone I know. For one, I'll do it to someone that I know. Not I'm not gonna go up to a random person and be like, take your hat off. There's another one. There's literally another thing that I just thought of that I don't know if it's how it's viewed anymore. I was raised with the idea that you thank your veterans for their service. Doesn't matter what like war they served in, where they served on, what branch they served in. You thanked your veterans for their service. That I grew up in a military family, so that's just kind of a thing that happened. And it was very much one of those, you don't go around asking everyone if they're a veteran. No, it was if you see someone wearing a hat or something like that that was Vietnam veteran, those sorts of things, you'd thank them for their service. But I've seen recently that there's people that don't find that super comfortable or don't know how to respond to it, that it was actually a thing from veterans that have been interviewed that are like, don't fully know how to respond to it. And it especially being from the later year veterans. So Gulf War or like later, those veterans that don't fully know how to respond to it. But yeah, there's so many different random little things. I mean, they're behaviors that make up a person. But I'll even like, someone could tell me, okay, someone could outlaw that behavior, that some formal behavior, such as taking your hat off inside or something like that. Or maybe it becomes a big thing in the future where everyone wears hats inside or whatever. And I will still walk inside and take my hat off. And I do it immediately. Like I said, I do it immediately. The minute I like step through a door, I will be like stepping through a door and taking my hat off at the same time. Let me know if you have any of those sorts of traits or learned behaviors, because I guess that's technically what they are learned behaviors that like you have that are like an instantaneous, no longer thought of like thing for you. You do it like based off of muscle memory, but some people would think that's a bit strange, or, you know, they don't do it. I would love to hear those. I mean, I'm I'm made up of a whole lot of those, especially manners. Because it was the whole thing of, you know, you don't put your elbows on the table while you're eating and all these other sorts of things. I didn't even put my elbows on the table for, like, a lot of things. Your forearms can go on the table, not your elbows. I don't know why. It's just a thing. I do it and my body will be like, no, that's wrong. Don't do that. We don't do that. And I'm betting even if I were to, like, go to, say, just like a holiday meal with my family and I were to do that, I feel like no one would point it out if I were to do it anymore. Because, like, if I were to to put my elbows on the table, no one would point it out, partially because we're all grown-ups. Like, everyone in my, most of the members of everyone in my immediate family is a grown-up. None of my siblings have kids or anything like that yet, so. But there's just random things. Okay, you know what? I'll say, if you do put something down in the comments below, nothing about, like, covering your sneeze when, like, covering your sneezing your elbow or anything like that, because that's just what you're supposed to do. That's what you're supposed to do. Everyone's supposed to do that. It's not a learned behavior. You're supposed to do that. Because that's just helping, like, prevent the spread of germs. And trust me, I know this because I work in healthcare. You work in healthcare for so long and you see people do things. You see people come in and there's, you know, lots of people come in for lots of different reasons. Okay, that's fine. But there are things that I definitely go to work and have someone come in and they're like, I'm here for this. Or something like, my symptoms just started yesterday and all I'm doing is, like, coughing or something, basically. I'm like, why are you here? Go away. There's lots of people like that. I will say that. There are loads of people like that. But I mean, if you're feeling bad enough, I mean, yeah, sure, come in. I'm not to stop anyone from coming in. We don't do that where I work. Oh my God, and the last day I worked, holy crap, we had... So the facility I work at, we get an average of at least 15 patients a day, which is, you know, pretty good. Pretty good considering it is a two-person team. That two-person team being the person working at the front desk and the actual provider, be that, you know, an LPN, RN, PA, whoever is working there. That's that's who's working. Luckily, we had a 3-person team the last day I worked because we ended up seeing 28 people. I have this, so when I sign people in, I've got a couple of different, you know, duties. I not only, like, sign them in on the computer, but then I have a little paper form that I fill out that's like a roster of everyone that, you know, comes in. If they have a copay, I've got to fill that out. If I fill out what their insurance is, I fill out what time they came in, and I keep track of all those. I keep track of all those throughout the day. And one of those papers naturally only has 20 slots on it. So me going through, I don't work at one of the busy sites. I work at one of the moderately busy sites. And walking in and going through nearly 2 of those forms, because I'll go, like I said, we average about 15 people, so using up nearly 2 of those forms is kind of insane for me. We were lucky that we had the people, or we had 4 people or 3 people. We had 3 people because I've recently been the one that has very much been changing the scheduling. I'm not in charge of scheduling. We have a manager for that, but... Okay, yeah, see, like I said, there's going to be so many little bits, so many tiny little bits of colors, because this painting, it's got so many different, like, swirls and whatnot in it. Is Starry Night one of those that's in the Louvre? I don't know. You know, I will be completely honest. The only painting that I know of that's in the Louvre, like that I fully know that's in the Louvre, is the Mona Lisa. That's it. Because, I mean, for one, I've never been to the Louvre. So... And art history isn't really one of those naturally... Like, it's not in any... I feel like it's not in any school curriculum. In art, to begin with, is one of those programs that if you do have, like, budget cuts to the point of, like, okay, we have to cut programs, art and music are, like, the first ones that get cut. But yeah, I feel like I never really had to learn where certain paintings are, where they came up. It's just one of, like, you didn't have to learn these things in school. It was just one of those that popped up on occasion, you know? You randomly learn these things throughout your life from other experiences. Say going to I mean, yeah, that can actually be one of those things of you go to an art museum or just a museum in general for school, but that's not within the curriculum. Going to a museum and whatnot in school, that's not a part of any curriculum. That would be, like, very specifically a part of the teachers, whatever your teacher, their written curriculum is, because, you know, they get handed the whole thing of, here, this is what you have to teach, you know, this sort of stuff to prepare them to take whatever tests. But then the teacher goes and decides, okay, I want to teach things this way, you know, or they write up their whole teaching curriculum of, like, how we're going to teach things throughout the year. This is going to be a freaking long... It is nearly 30 minutes. I'm not even in double digits. I'm just going to be rambling for the next 2 hours. Holy moly. That's one of those things that I've learned. I'm getting good at it. I'm getting better at it. Filling void space is a thing that I've been practicing and getting better at. I hope none of the rest of these are like this, because holy moly. Okay, we've got Starry Night. Oh, God, yeah, some of them are going to be like this. Because we've got the Great Wave, and the Great Wave is pretty... There's there's not many colors in the Great Wave, but there's a lot of variation and whatnot. And then we have things like the ebb and flow of time. That one does have a decent amount of different colors in it. This is a cool game because it gives you this like healthy appreciation for art and all that goes into it. Because I'm not a, like I said, I'm not an artist. I am an artist to the point of or I'm not, you know, pen and paper or paint artist. I'm an artist in some other way, if you want to count me as an artist. I make terrifying things with Photoshop. I think I said this to someone at one point that I was talking to on Discord, in one of the like Discords that I'm in. I said I like putting my face on things, on random things. Yeah, there's so many little bits. Yeah, because Starry Night it's a beautiful painting to begin with, but it's a difficult one. I feel like it might be one of those that you'd go to, you know what, that'd be cool. But ADHD who? It might be one of those that you'd go to like a painting class or whatnot that, you know, some places offer. And it might be one of those that they like walk you through step by step. Here's how to draw it. Cause I know there are, I thought of this in the middle of it while I was doing it. Well, of that sentence while I was saying that sentence was the different, I think it's mainly Disney, and I don't know how you get into them. They have like workshops where you'd go into you'd go into like basically a lecture hall, like a college lecture hall, and everyone has like, you know, this big like pad and whatnot in front of them, and then you get to learn from either one of the artists or a person who has been taught the art to like how to draw specific different characters and whatnot. So you'd go in there and you'd learn how to draw like Mickey Mouse as they like originally did, or so, you know, there's just those sessions. Maybe it is one of those things that you just go to the park. I don't know, because I've never been to Disney World or Land. Never. I've never been to either one of them, and I've never been to, though it's one I do want to go to. What is it? I just forgot the name of it. I can't remember what the name of it is. That's a funny thing. I actually learned in like the difference between Disney World and Land. I'll never fully know like what the difference is between them, but a little like thing to remember which is which. Disneyland, Disney LAND, is in Los Angeles. In Disney World, WORLD, is in Orlando, Florida. That's just a random little thing that I learned. That people have probably known for freaking years, but like I just learned it like last year. Because I will say I for like the longest time had no idea which was which and which was where. I mean, I do know there are other there are plenty of other parks. I want to say Japan has like two different, because there's like one that's on the water and then one that's more like one of our parks. Universal, that's what I'm thinking. I want to go. I would love to go see Universal, which is also down in Florida. Maybe it's just because I've never, well, for one, I don't come from a well-to-do family exactly. So, when it came to vacations, that's not the sort of thing we do. We'd go for the longest time when it was like you'd go camping, and those were skills that we learned, or our vacationing for the longest time would be going and seeing family in a different state. Yeah. I mean, I want to say the closest thing that I've really gotten to, I mean, I've gotten closer to, if I were to say the word vacation, think in your mind for a second, what is a vacation? Some people probably like me, or you get like your other random people would just be like time off of work, or, or that sort of thing, like going out of state and seeing family, like driving out of state and seeing family, or whatnot. But like the whole time you do stay at their house, you do whatever, and maybe you go out a couple different days and do things around the area. But no, I think I don't remember. That's one of those I know different. I have different memories of some sorts of vacations that we've had, like when we went to Gettysburg, but I don't remember if it is like one of those we went and we stayed in a hotel or anything like that, because I don't think we did. I do think we did stay with family. I'm like hard pressed to find these fours, because anytime I press the R is supposed to give you like here's the approximate the location that you are missing. But I've noticed it doesn't seem to care. It's like, yeah, we'll get near it. We'll get near the location of what you're missing. But if I say the word vacation, I bet there are some of you, probably a decent amount of you, that'll be like, maybe not exactly like sunny beach, whatnot, staying in a hotel, those sorts of things. But it doesn't have to be that sort of very specifically sunny beach, but one of those where you get away from all of your life, like you and whatever members of your family, immediate family, or maybe not your family, get away from your life, even family, to relax. I don't think I've ever had anything like that. And I just don't know what I would do if I did have that. I mean, because the most recent vacation type thing that I've went on was I went last year on a camping trip with my brother during the summer. Just me, him, and his dog. We all went to, a campgrounds, and we were there for little under a week. We were supposed to be there for a full week, but we had to leave because, I was perfectly fine. I was absolutely fine. It was hot. It was very, very hot out, and I was okay. Yeah, I'm fine. I'm sweating, whatever. We were the only ones. We were the only ones in the campground. So even though I'm a fat man, I did not mind walking around without a shirt. So I'd just be in a shirt and shorts and whatnot. or I'd just be walking around in shorts. But because I think technically we did go in like the off season or whatever for them. Like you were as close to the off season, but the thing that really pushed him over the edge was the stink bugs. We were near a river, and there was a good bit of woods in between us and the river, but we we went to this campground, and one day it was like we were getting bothered by mosquitoes, and it's like, okay, that's fine. You just deal with it. We put bug spray and whatnot on. And then the next day, we're getting absolutely bombarded every freaking second by stink bugs. And if you didn't know, stink bugs are some of the clumsiest freaking... They're some of the clumsiest insects known to man. They tumble about, and if you squish them or anything like that, they secrete that stench that gives them their name. But he eventually was just, he got to the point where he was done. He was done with it. He was like, okay, I'm done with this. Because he would be like trying to relax, sitting in his tent or whatever, and he'd look up because he had one of those big ones, one of those bigger tents. If I remember right, he bought specifically for that trip because he didn't specifically own one, so he was borrowing tents. But my tent that I own is very much specifically for, you get into that tent, you sleep in that tent, you get out of that tent, you spend the rest of the day outside of that tent. It is absolutely one of those. It's like a 2 or 3 man tent. I want to say it's a 2-man tent, and if you don't know what that means when it comes to tents, like if you're not a person who actually camps, you'll go into a store, that sells camping equipment, Cabela's, Bass Pro, whatever, and you'll look at the bag that contains the tent, and it will say however many person tent. So it's supposed to be, that's how many people fit in that tent. But it's also what we've always gone with, and what I've learned, growing up, is it is not just okay, here's this tent, it fits whatever amount of people, X amount of people. It's not even giving me the thing. But it's that's not it. That's not, you don't just get that. You have to think of 2 things when you're going through those sorts of things. It's what equipment are you bringing with you? So if you're sleeping in a 2-man tent, that is 1 person plus equipment. So if you have a backpack and whatnot, that is 1 person plus equipment. Or like they do actually have 1-man tents, which are literally just meant for you to basically crawl inside of that, and then you crawl inside of that, and then you're done. You sleep in that. You like zip it up. You literally, those are backpacking tents where you're meant to be. All I'm doing in this thing is sleeping. That's it. My 2-man tent is meant for, sleeping in, but keeping my gear in as well, but he had one of the like bigger like 4-man tents or whatever. So he's sitting in that. It was big enough for him to have like a twin mattress or something like that in there, like twin inflatable mattress, and like him and his dog. He had to consider his dog as well because he has a, I think he has a pit bull. I don't remember exactly what she is. She's something like that. She's a medium to bigger sized breed. But he has her and him in there, and he's just screaming because he can look up and see. Basically, what he'd do every day is he'd get out of his tent in the morning, and he'd take off the rain fly. It did not rain there until we were leaving. Like we were driving away and it started raining. So, but I mean, I think we had like a clear forecast for the whole week anyways, but, he'd take his rain fly off every morning, and at one point he was counting the amount of stink bugs that were on his tent that would land on his tent and, like just be there. And what was it? So we look up ways that are like, okay, how can we, because me personally, I'm not really bothered by bugs. I don't care. They're bugs. But he's going absolutely crazy. So I'm like, okay, I'll look up some ways because I don't fully, pay attention. I know some very primitive ways to keep away from bugs, like keep bugs away. But he looks up and we remember, oh yeah, dish soap and like a little bit of water. So he leaves the campsite because basically what we did is every day he went out and he'd buy groceries for like the next couple days is how he'd do it. So because we only had the one truck with us, he'd buy groceries and me and his dog would stay behind at the campsite. And so he leaves and he goes and buys himself like a spray bottle. We like buys a couple spray bottles and just like the normal empty ones that you're like, okay, here we can put whatever in this thing. And then we put oh, you know what? No, we just had a big ass thing of dish soap to begin with. So he got the soap and then he got the, we'd fill up the water. And so we'd walk around spraying the tents and whatnot. You'd see a stink bug, you'd spray it. And at one point, his tent was just covered in dish soap. It was just like absolutely covered in dish soap. Because he could not stand. I'm so surprised with him sometimes, but he could not stand it. So he was like, I'm done with this. Okay, I'm like absolutely done. I was perfectly fine. I'd sit wherever, sit by the fire, sit over somewhere else, reading a book. Enjoying my time outdoors. That's what I did. That's how I do. When it is nice and warm out, I'm not a very easy person to upset. I will say that. Yeah, like when it's nice and sunny, and if I can be like sitting in the shade or something, or I can just be sitting in a camp chair. I'll be in absolute bliss. Oh my God, let me tell you. So I take like a daily allergy pill. Just, that generic sort of thing that a lot of people do, honestly. And go out there, didn't deal with allergies one bit. Fresh air, like true fresh air, is magical. And when I say true fresh air, I mean like enough of a distance away from like any sort of true settlement. So yeah, maybe you're in the country and there's like a couple of houses for a couple miles. But like I said, we were by a river. We drove back into the woods where we were, and there was no one around. I mean, it was nice. The strange freaking thing though is we checked multiple times actually, how, if we were to be bothered or not, because basically we just wanted to, get away and be away from people. And so we checked, and he told me that he checked literally the day before, like the morning of us driving up there. And he comes and he's like, yeah, there's not supposed to be anyone else. Like no other people are supposed to show up until we've got like 2 days left on our reservation. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. But it happened multiple times with like, there were a couple different people that we would like just be where we were, we paid decent money. I will say that we paid decent money to be there. I mean, it wasn't cheap, but it also wasn't greatly expensive, but we paid money to be there. We paid, I want to say it was $100-something for the whole week for, it. And let me be clear. It was a primitive campsite. Primitive campsites being there's no amenities. There's no electricity. There's no running water. There was, when we were using pit toilets, all of which I was perfectly fine with. And that's what he wanted. That's what I'm like, all right, we'll do that. And so we paid a decent amount. And like, if I remember right, it even said, no, we didn't go back and like see our like number spot reserved or whatever. But literally, if we wanted to, we could move anywhere we wanted to, except for literally every night, there would be someone else there. There would be someone else there. There would be like people that would show up, camp for the night, and then just peace out the next morning. So we're just like, so that's the thing. Going in and seeing, me and him having paid for this campsite for however many days, and then having to like go and walk the dog or whatever, and walking her around one of the areas and seeing another person when we know there's not supposed to be anyone else there. And normally you go to a campsite and you expect, okay, at some point you might get a visit from a ranger or something like that. Apparently the area we were in, we actually we didn't get any visit from any ranger, but at one point like one of their not necessarily public works, but whatever county workers drove through, and they stopped and we had a word with them for a couple minutes, and we were like, yeah, so there's been people every night that have been just coming in, setting up tents or whatnot, or just like parking their cars, because there were a couple people that had just like a cover on the back of their truck, so they'd just sleep in the bed of their truck, or, you know, those sorts of things. And then they'd like leave the next morning, and we checked and there was no one else reserved in any spot, because you could see whether or not there were people reserved. And I'm talking to him and I'm like, so what's up with that? And he's like, yeah, it happens all the time. Because they don't have rangers in that area. They sold their, like, all of their rangers and whatnot. Either they moved counties or whatnot, and then they sold all of the equipment and the buildings and the vehicles and whatnot that they had from their rangers, like, station to the sheriff's office. And we're just like, okay, so there's just absolutely no one out here. There's no one controlling this area, is what I'm seeing. There's no one controlling it in, like, the off season. I would have to assume, like, because we went in there, like I said, just like in the beginning of the off season, that there has to be someone, you know, going out there, and during the season in which, like, the camping season that people normally go out, there's got to be someone going out there and checking it out, you know, checking it out daily. Because otherwise, how do you get your money? How do you make your money? How do you make sure no one's more importantly, how do you go out there and make sure no one's, like, messing up the property, hurting the, like, nature around there? Because otherwise you're kind of screwing with things. How do you make sure people are not going back there and doing drug deals? How do you make sure of any of that? You don't. You just don't, apparently, because they sure as hell didn't care. I was so concerned. I'm like, talking to this man, I'm like, okay, what? Because I think it was like one of those things, we went there. The day we got there, there was already someone in, because it was one of those things that you get a lot of. There's a lot of different campgrounds that are like this, that are very much designed. You pull in, there'll be on either side, there'll be camping spots, there'll be spots that you go to, and then there's a loop. There's just this big loop, and there's campsites all around that, and then every once in a while you have your some different things, garbage cans, or your actual wherever your latrines are, those sorts of things. And we go in there, and it's there was a tent set up in one of the spots in the loop, and we were just like, okay, why is there a tent set up here? And, like, no one came back until, like, the evening. And then, oh my god, the amount of people that would pull in there just to pull around, holy crap. 'Cause, I mean, we were just on some back country road. But yeah, the amount of people that would pull in just to pull around. And I do have to say, it was technically, it was like a state park or something like that. So, you know, there's going to be, there were plenty of people that would come in. We found, like, the area that they were walking to. But there'd people. It happened on multiple occasions, and we were so confused by it at first. But there were people that were walking in because there's only one entrance and one exit as far as we were concerned for cars. And there were people walking in with their dogs. That happened a couple times. They'd walk in with their dogs and go into the loop area and then just kind of disappear and never reappear. And we were like, okay. Until we finally went and like investigated and saw that there was a hiking path that people could take, and that's what they were taking, was they were going down there, and there was a way that you could walk out that direction. So we're just like, okay, why not? So it all like boils down to what we thought was going to be an absolutely quiet weekend quiet week of me like sitting there reading books and enjoying, nothingness, was like a lot of people bothering us. They weren't bothering us. They'd wave and, say hi or whatever. But it was weird. I guess I'm a much different person than my younger brother, because like anytime he'd go into whatever the closest town was, so that he'd get reception, is he'd go in, he'd get reception, he'd be the one shopping and whatnot, and while he was doing that, he'd download movies on his phone, and he bought. I have them right here. These are battery packs. Okay, plug your phone in or whatever, and it charges it. I brought these two with me, and that was it. Actually, I think I might have had like another one that was like this smaller one that I've had forever, and it was actually kind of just dead. This one is a solar power pack, so I'd set it up during the day and let it charge, and then at night is when I'd charge my phone. He bought, I don't know how many little battery packs. I want to say he had like 9 with him. He'd be in his tent watching movies or whatnot. And I'm just like, why are you out here, kid? And the funny thing is, I think every single time we go camping, he's the one that asks to go camping. So it just baffles me. These young kids and their darn iPhones. I don't think he has an iPhone. I'm not. I've got 35% progress. And it's been over an hour. Holy crap. Then again, you think, how long did it take whoever painted this one to, paint it? How many years? How many years did they spend painting this? I would use the hose more, but the hose like sucks. Because I was expecting to get this and it be like a fire hose, you know? So it's got some pressure to it. No, it doesn't. It's got like 0 pressure to it whatsoever. I mean, even this one has more pressure than the hose. Oh, look. Just barely reached that. I don't think I can reach the top of this thing. Yeah, no, I can't. I can't reach the top of this painting with this hose. So what is the point in it? Just an extra way to get me to spend my triangles that turns out I didn't need. Gosh. All these accessories that I truly don't need. Come on. Come on. Come on. All right. Oh my god, this is worse than the freaking car. I know it's a very nice, famous, painting, but Jesus, I hate it. Have you ever done something like that? You spend so much time on one thing. You spend so much time on one thing that eventually you begin to hate it. It's one of those like you hear it all the time with different people that make things, musicians, and whatnot, that just are like, oh yeah, I absolutely hate that song. Because it's one of those, it took them so long to make, or it's one of those you had to look at it for so freaking long. Or some people have the issue of, if they eat too much of a certain food, like too much, like in a row, they'll hate it. I don't have that issue for some reason. I strangely don't have that issue. But it's still it's the same principle. the same principle of I've been doing this now. I've only been doing this with this one painting for a little over an hour. But good God, do I hate it. I mean, it doesn't even look like it's starting to come together yet. Like the last two paintings we did, they looked... It did take them a little while to come together, but when they came together, they really did. They came together and you're like, okay, yeah. You can tell what the painting is. You know what you're looking at. Well, this one, no. And there's just so many, for this one, I mean, for Starry Night, there's so many shades of blue. Oh my God, it's unbelievable. I mean, it's a nighttime portrait, so yeah. There's going to be a lot of blue, but blues and blacks and whatnot, there's going to be a lot of those colors, but you get to the point where it's like, how many shades of blue can there be? I do have to say this sprayer seems pretty. I don't even remember what this one is called. Let me see. So we've got this airbrush. Okay, it's an airbrush. Let me try this. I'm curious. Let me try and finish up this color and then we'll... Okay, so 21, we'll try this thing. Whoa! Wait! Wait a minute! That's wonderful! That's absolutely awesome! It's not just spraying one color. Oh, that's so lovely. Oh, look at that. Yeah. Oh, I love it. Oh, we love it. You love to see it. You love to see it. Oh, why didn't I get this one sooner? Come on. Oh, why didn't I get this one sooner? Ah! Oh, God, you love it. Oh, I love it. Oh, I love it. And then all I'll have to worry about is the parts where this can't reach. Oh, look at it. Yes! Oh, that color's done. Oh. If anyone was home right now, they'd be like, what the hell are you doing, dude? Oh, thank you. Thank you. It only took me an hour and a half. To finally go. I feel like I remember more stars in Starry Night. Oh, it's almost done. It's almost done. It's also not as bright. It's definitely not as bright. Because I remember that star, any of the actual stars, like, so that one, any of the actual yellowish stars are much brighter. Okay. Aha! Oh, you think you can hide from me? Oh, Van Gogh. Okay. Starry Night is one of only 2 paintings by Van Gogh that were ever sold, and the only one sold after his death. Interesting. So that was Starry Night. That took forever. I need to put more stars to that spray gun, or more triangles to that spray gun, because holy crap. That ate up so much time. I'm gonna end this one here, obviously, because I feel like I'm way over time for this. But if you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.